Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. The Bank Nifty is now lost close to about 170 points from the top of the day. Nigel was just talking about the intraday fall in names like a Kotak Mahindra Bank. But if you pull up a 7-day chart of Kotak Mahindra Bank, you can see that ever since it came out with its numbers, and Uday Kotak spoke about the stress in the SME sector, that stock has seen a fall. This is the performance today. But if you pull up a 5-day or a 7-day chart, you can see the sharp fall that's come through ever since it came out with its numbers from levels of close to about 1400 plus. It's now down to about 1300. That apart, profit is also being taken off stocks like a Bajaj Finance, which were trading at record levels. So under pressure for that, a Bata too has retreated from its all-time peak. But in fact, for the markets, as we pointed out, there has been a slip from the top of the day, and that's courtesy the banking names. The Bank Nifty is now down close to about 55 points. Let's invite Ashwani Gujral and Rajat Bose on the show now. Ashwani, your thoughts on the day so far? The Bank Nifty seems to have lost its way, underperforming names like a Kotak Mahindra Bank and ICICI Bank, Axis Bank under pressure as we speak.
See, it's not just this. All of the outperformers of the last 3 or 4 months are in the negative. Now, you can't have a sustainable breakout if, none of the heavyweights are participating. So, that is the reason Bank Nifty didn't really participate yesterday. It didn't really participate today. Now, people should be cognizant of the fact that maybe you are sitting on a false breakout, because if no large cap participates of significance, then it will become difficult for Nifty to hold 11,100. So that way I think Bank Nifty deserves a short position, and in case we start going through 11,050, 70, which is hardly 20-30 points lower, then it'll be a situation where everybody is long and the market decides to go in the other direction. So my sense is that a lot of this was a pullback in questionable stocks, and that way Nifty Junior etc. moved up, but I don't think 11,100 is really sustaining. Having said all of that, there are individual stocks where short covering etc. can happen. NCC is a buy with a stop of 86, target of 94. Delta Corporation is a buy with a stop of 235, target of 250. And NBCC is a buy with a stop of 66, target of 72.
Well, we are falling, and we are falling very, very quickly. The Nifty Bank is now down more than 100 points. And it's not just the banking stocks. Even you have something like a Bajaj Finserv. That's fallen nearly around 1.5% from the high point of the day. The problem really is the banking stock. Something like an ICICI Bank is causing trouble. And Bharti Airtel as well has suddenly moved to the low point of the day. So keep an eye out on that one. Add to the list Tata Motors as well. Now we're up only around 20 points, barely holding on to the 11,100 odd mark. Rajat, your trade on the Nifty, as well as what picks do you have for us today?
Say that the Nifty now, if it were to fall below say 11,090, then you can take a short position with a stop above 11,135, 45 points out there, and probably a taste of 11,010 to 11,025 could be on the cards. The kind of inverse spinning top kind of a formation that is happening on the Nifty chart suggests that there is likely to be some fall going forward. In the second half of the session could well be that things would settle down. Stocks would settle for lower levels, but mid caps may still continue. One stock that I chose to trade on the short side, the first target has been met. Kotak Bank, when I issued the call to your desk, it was at 1326. Now it is 1312. The July futures. The July futures, in my view, if the Bank Nifty fall accelerates, that would be led by Kotak Bank, and it could actually scale down to something like 1300 to about 1292 kind of level. So these are the fresh targets, because the earlier targets given ends at 1305. So 1305 might be broken, and 1300 to 1292 could be there. And I would trade long on one stock that I personally hold in my investment portfolio, that is DLF. I would put a stop loss below 182.90, and 193 is my target. One thing I would like to highlight here is that that the fall would be there was very much on the cards, because if you track the Nifty 500 until about 5 minutes back, 264 stocks were they actually notched up gains to more than 1%, while only 26 were down by 1%. So this kind of 1:10 ratio there suggests that this rise is unsustainable and there would be fall. In fact, the reverse also happened. So this is a very reliable indicator in my understanding, and it suggests that second half could see further fall.
By the way, now the Sensex has also dipped into the red, so now it's not looking good. The Bank Nifty is anyway down closer to 150 points, but the Sensex has lost all its gains. The Nifty too has slipped quite sharply from the top of the day, and all this has come through just in a matter of moments. Asian markets continue to hold up pretty okay. So Hang Seng is still up close to about 350 points. It was up 400 points, now it's up 350 points, but still, still holding with a gain of about 1.25%. So the problem appears to be more with our own markets, and the stocks which are correcting are the ones where we've seen some very heady gains in the last few months or years. So Kotak Mahindra Bank, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, HUL. These top the list of the top 4 losers on the Nifty, and all these stocks are the big wealth creators and outperformers. Kotak Mahindra Bank, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, as well as HUL. We're getting the early rates from Europe as well, so let's put that on the table and get that on board. Mixed. FTSE is flat with a negative bias. The DAX is holding up pretty well, so that's higher by close to about 0.5%, and the CAC is somewhere in the middle but holding up in the green. Not looking good now.
That's right, Rima, not looking too good. And the point that Rima made, the Shanghai market, in fact, as well as the Hang Seng, they're up close to around 1.5%. It seems that someone's come out there and just sold into this rally. For the time being, we're seeing some stability, but the Nifty Bank is down more than 150 points just in the last 45 minutes. Slip into a short break, come back, keep an eye out on the markets as well as various stocks are moving around, so we'll tell you about that.
Welcome back. Info Edge numbers are up for you on your screen, so we'll get that on board as well. So the revenues have seen a 16.7% growth on a year-on-year basis. Margins have improved significantly. So margins have gone up to 32.5% versus 31.6%. It's only 100 basis points improvement in margins, but the Edelweiss estimate for the EBITDA was margins of about 27-28%. So at least compared to the Edelweiss estimate, the margins are a beat. The bottom line has gotten hit, so the profits are down 2% on a year-on-year basis at 62.9 crore, and that is impacted by an exceptional loss of 15.9 crore, which is an account of the company taking a write-down on its investment in Smart Web Internet Services. And so basically some startup that the company had invested in, there has been a write-down in the value over there, as a result of which the company has recorded an exceptional loss of 15.9 crore, because of which the company's profits have fallen by close to about 1.9% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. But there is an improvement in the margins by close to about 90 basis points. We'll try and get more color in, but Info Edge for now is still up close to about 3%.
All right, let's move on then. We had some flashes that were running for you on the screen. A consortium of banks led by SBI have in fact studied over a dozen power projects and shortlisted 6 of them for sale. The other 4 will be allowed to go to the NCLT. This effort comes after the RBI in its February circular told banks to restructure in 6 months all the stressed projects of over 2,000 crore rupees or take them to NCLT. Ritu Singh joins us to tell us more about this. Ritu, over to you.
Well, in the past couple of quarters, in fact, the last couple of years, a lot of debate has centered around the revival of stressed power projects, which are the next big source of concern for bankers that are already grappling with very high non-performing assets. And Samadhan is a scheme that was proposed by SBI to revive these power assets. And in a follow-up to that, about 40 assets were, shortlisted, of which, after a study was done and due diligence was conducted, about 12 to 13 power projects were shortlisted as viable power projects for which there could could be a restructuring or turnaround plan. Now, yesterday in a meeting, SBI shortlisted about 4 projects that it said would have to go via the NCLT route in order to obtain closure. Those include Jindal India Thermal Power, GMR Chhattisgarh, In Bharat Utkal and Lanco Anpara. Besides these, there are about 8 or 9 projects that have also been identified for either restructuring by bankers or to be put up for sale, and those projects include SKS, Binchkote, Ratan India, In Bharat Madras, KSK Mahanadi and Jabua Power, among the others. So for these, banks are already in talks with fund houses with the likes of Edelweiss, etc., power companies, Adani and those names, for instance, to see if there could be a potential acquisition of some of these assets to revive them before that 27th August deadline, after which, as per the RBI circular, all of these, projects would have to be classified as NPA. So it is likely that, banks will seek an extension. In fact, that is what Rajneesh Kumar told us in his interview yesterday. Listen.
Power assets, we had identified, the lenders had identified certain assets under the Samadhan scheme. And there was a process which we ran about determining the sustainable debt, inviting the bids. So all that process, we will be able to at least arrive at a conclusion, and the complete transfer of the asset and the related formalities, that will not be possible to be completed by 27th August. But I believe that lenders have a very strong case in certain cases where we will be making representation to RBI, case specific, that there should be some time given to complete the process. We have identified the assets which will go to NCLT, and we have identified the assets which need not go to NCLT in lender's view. But despite that, if the regulatory this thing is that no, then it is no, then nothing can be done.
And to a break, we'll come back with more on the commodity space. Stay tuned.
Well, on to the latest in the Daiichi versus Fortis case. ICICI Bank has moved the Delhi High Court, claiming 250 crore rupees of unpaid dues from Fortis. Ashmit joins us on the phone line to fill us in with all those details. Ashmit.
Right, Nigel, we appear to have yet another actor as far as the Daiichi Fortis saga is concerned. The latest actor appears to be ICICI Bank. It is an unsecured lender, just to clarify, and they're claiming dues of about 250 crore rupees. Now, the reason that they moved essentially Delhi High Court was in lieu of the earlier Delhi High Court order, wherein Delhi High Court had said that the shares of Singh Brothers, which add up to about 0.66% of Fortis Healthcare, listed shares need to be sold. Now, in pursuance of that direction, ICICI Bank sought to move the Delhi High Court because claiming apportionment of the of the amount recoverable from the sale of those shares. Now, on account of that, it's important to point out that in the month of May, a similar plea had also been sought by Yes Bank as well as Axis Bank, who had also sought a stake as far as the amount recoverable from the share sale is concerned. And on the back of that, what the Delhi High Court has done is that it hasn't granted relief per se. What the Delhi High Court, however, has done is that it has given ICICI Bank liberty to approach the Delhi High Court once they have the nod from the Debt Recovery Tribunal or the DRT. So on that note, the matter has been disposed of. No explicit relief coming their way, but nonetheless, this order puts ICICI Bank at par with other unsecured lenders such as Axis Bank as well as Yes Bank. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that. Well, we have Kalyani Steels have come out with a set of numbers. The profitability we have out there as well on the screen. Remember, the stock is sitting at a 52-week low, so just keep an eye out on that front. Numbers appear more or less flattish. They're not expected to be great. There's a bit of a degrowth on the top line as well. EBITDA more or less flattish, and PAT as well more or less flattish. We'll wrap up on this show. You stay with us. Business Lunch comes up next.